my voice is audible and you're able to see the screen? Yes. Is the screen visible? Yes. Okay. Right. So, day before yesterday, we saw about routing, right? So I told you what is routing. What is routing? Connecting two routers for what? To communicate with each other. If two routers has to communicate, then yes, you have to do routing, right? And I told you there are different types of routing like static routing, dynamic routing, and then we also saw about BGP. I hope you all got output for BGP. Yes, got the output. Great. Okay. So today we'll discuss about switch. Okay. Switch. So switch basically it is a network device which is present in OSI layer 2. Name of the OSI layer is data link layer. Yes, and what is a switch? Switch is like a connecting device. So it's like an extension box basically, where you can connect multiple devices. So we have 16 port switch, we have 24 port switch, and we have 48 port switch. And how does a switch look like? Cisco switch looks something like this. So this is a switch, right? And the ports which are present in the switch, these ports, right? So these ports are again called interface. Just like routers, here also it is called as interfaces. And the switch has a memory, right? What is the name of that memory? Huh? MAC table. Switch memory is called MAC table. Okay. Router's memory is called IP table. Okay. So switch, what it will do, whatever device you connect, it will take all the MAC address of that device and it will store. How will it store? You have to configure something, and that we'll see today. Okay. And before that, talking about the ports, switch ports, right? So in switch ports, you have two types. You have two types of switch ports. That is this. These ports I'm talking about. Okay. These ports are of two types. First type is called access port, and second type is called trunk. Yes, two types of port. One is access and another one is trunk. Now, what is access port? Now, if you wanted to connect switch with a different device, okay, you have a switch and you're trying to connect this switch with a router or with a computer. When you try to connect the switch with different device, you should use access port. Okay, so switch, when you try to connect a device with, switch with a different device, you will use access port. And what is trunk port? When you try to connect two switches, when you try to connect two switches, you should always go with the trunk. All right, so two types of ports, access and trunk. Access, it is used to connect switch with a different device. And trunk, it is used to connect two switches. Now, how do you find which is an access port and which is a trunk port and switch? Basically, you can't find it. It is you who is going to configure it. You will configure, you will tell the switch, okay, this port, this particular port will be access, this will be trunk, this will be access, this will be trunk. So you are going to configure that. So we'll tell the switch which has to act like an access port and which has to act like a trunk port. All right. So how to do that? Now the commands which you will use to configure a switch basically. So first you will take a switch and you will open the switch and you will go to CLI. Yes, once you go to CLI, you will see commands like this, right? And what does this angular bracket mean? It is called the login mode. So here you have to give the command enable, just like how we did for router, same. So when you give enable, it will enter into the privilege mode, switch hash. And now from privilege mode, you have to go to configuration mode. So you will type conf and it is going to look something like this, switch config and hash. Okay. So now once you're into the configuration terminal mode, what you have to do is you have to choose the interface. You have to choose the interface and you have to assign whether it is going to be access or trunk. So how do you do that? First, you will choose the interface. Let's choose 0/2. Okay. Or we'll choose 0/1. Okay. Fast Ethernet 0/1. And once you choose the interface, your command will change something like this. This means you are inside the interface. This is the configuration mode, and this means you are inside the interface. So here you have to type this command, switch port, mode, and then you have to give access. Switch port, mode, and access. And then in the next line, you give exit and you will come out of the interface. Okay, so this is how you convert the switch port into access or trunk. Or if you want one to act as trunk, you can change here as trunk. All right, this is how you configure a port and switch. We'll do it once in packet tracer also. So I'll take a switch. Okay, and we'll go inside the switch. So once we are inside, let's go to CLI and it is loading. And yes, now we are in the login mode. So I'll type enable and then from there we'll type conf and we enter into the configuration mode. So here what we'll do is we'll choose the interface, fast Ethernet 0/1 and then you'll type switch port, mode, access and exit. That's it. Okay. Now, let's say you have a switch and in this switch from fast Ethernet 0/2 to fast Ethernet 0/10, you want all the ports to be accessed. You want all the ports to be accessed. So every time you don't have to go choose each and every port and write the command. What you can do is you can, when you choose the interface, you can give something like this, interface, and then type the command range and then type fast Ethernet 0/2 to 10. So you'll collectively select. And this is applicable only when you wanted to keep access port for a continuous series. Not like 0/2, you will keep access 0/3 trunk, 0/4 access, 0/5 trunk. In that case, you have to configure separately. If you wanted to configure group of ports, then you can use the command range. So this will select from 0/2 to 10. Then you can type switch port, mode, and access, and then give exit. So now what will happen? All the ports from 2 to 10 will become access. All right. So this is the basic configuration which you do for switch. Now, what topic we are going to see first in switch is, we'll see a topic called VLAN. Okay. What is VLAN? VLAN is called Virtual Local Area Network. Okay. Now, why do we go for VLAN? Let's say, normally when under a switch, when you place two computers and assign IP to these two computers, okay, you assign IP to these two computers, will these two ping or not? Both these computers will be able to ping each other? Yes. Okay. Now, what if I don't want these computers to ping each other, but still they have to be under the same switch? Okay. I want these two computers under the same switch, but when you ping, it shouldn't ping. Yes, there are two options to do that. First option is subnetting. Subnetting is a configuration that you do in computer level. Okay, it's a calculation which you have to perform. And based on that calculation, you can configure the IPs in the computer and you can make sure these two computers are not pinging. Okay, and this subnetting part, we have already covered it in the last session. So if you are interested in knowing about the calculation behind this, you can watch the video, which is already there. Another option which you can do to achieve the same concept is VLAN. Now this VLAN is a configuration that you do in switch. It is a configuration which you do in switch. Now let's assume this computer belongs to sales department and this computer belongs to HR department. Now sales and HR are under the same company, but they are two different departments. So you keep them under the same switch, but still they shouldn't communicate with each other. In this case, what we are going to do is we are going to configure VLAN in this particular port. We'll configure VLAN in the ports that is present in the switch. Okay. And why do we go for VLAN? Basically, when you do subnetting, no? Subnetting can be done only for small number of computers. When you have large number of computers, you can't go with subnetting. And another thing is subnetting, as I told you, it is a configuration done in computer. Now, who uses computer? The users, right? So if you do a configuration in computer, the user gets the privilege to change the configuration. He or she might change the configuration, right? So to overcome these drawbacks, we go for VLAN. So VLAN is something which you do in switch. So for the computer, you can give any IP you want. You give the default subnet mask, not an issue. Yes, here also you give any IP you want and give the default subnet mask. But the control is done in switch. So when these two computers tries to ping, they won't be able to ping each other. So initially in day one class, I showed you a practical where under one switch you will place two computers, they both will ping. Now under one switch we are going to place two computers and they both will not ping. Right. So again, VLAN is a configuration done in switch to overcome the disadvantages in subnetting. Okay. So what we'll do is for this VLAN to do, first step, let's take a switch. First step, we'll take a switch. And let's assume we have two ports. One is 0/2 and another one is 0/3 fast Ethernet. Okay. Now for 0/2, you're going to connect a computer from sales department, and 0/3, you're going to connect a computer from HR department. Which means we need two VLANs. So how many departments you have? You have two. So in that case, you need two VLANs. So to create a VLAN, first you have to keep a name for VLAN and you have to set a reference number. Okay. So how we are going to do this to do is I'll write down the steps here and then we'll do it in Packet Tracer. Okay. So first step, you'll open the switch and you will go to CLI and then you will log in and then you will go to configuration terminal mode. Until here you will go, right? After that, the first step which you have to do is you have to create VLAN. This is the first step that you have to do. So for VLAN creation, the step goes something like this. First, you will type VLAN and then a number, any reference number. I'm just giving VLAN 10, okay, a random number. And then in the next line, you will give name as sales. So sales is going to be my department. Okay, so we have created a VLAN now. Now the second step is you have to choose the interface. Okay, so next step what you will do is you will choose the interface. Interface fast Ethernet and we'll choose 0/2. Okay, 0/2. And first step what you have to do, you have to configure this interface as access or trunk. So I'll type switch port, mode and then access. All right. Third step, we are going to assign that particular VLAN to the interface that is chosen. So third step is assigning VLAN to the interface. So for that, the command goes like this: switch port, VLAN, and then what is the number which we have to assign? We have to assign 10. Okay, switch port access, VLAN, and the number 10. That's it. And give exit. Now what we have done is we have created a VLAN in this switch and we have assigned it to 0/2. Okay. Similarly, you have to create a VLAN for HR. and you have to assign it for 0/3. You have to repeat the same steps and create for HR. Okay, so what you will do, you will create VLAN as 20 and you will give name as HR, and then you will choose interface fast Ethernet 0/3. You'll configure it as switch port mode access, and then in the next line you will assign switch port access VLAN and 20. These are the commands which you'll again repeat. And after you repeat, what you will do is you will go take two computers and connect it to these two interfaces. All right, after you connect, assign IP to these two computers. For this computer, we'll assign 192.168.1.10. For this, we'll assign 192.168.1.11. And for both the computers, assign default subnet mask also. Right, and then how do you verify? So once all this is done, you will open this 1.10 computer. And from 1.10 computer, you will ping 1.11. And this time your output will be request timed out. This is the output which you should get, request timed out. Okay, now let's try this in our packet tracer. So now I have a switch for which we've done some configuration. Let me take another switch. So we have a switch here. So I'll open this switch. Okay, so we'll go to CLI. It's still voting, and yes, so we'll log into the switch. You're able to see? Yes, okay. I'm typing enable and it goes to privilege mode. From privilege mode, I'll type conf and we enter into the configuration terminal. Okay. So now here we are going to type all these commands. Right, these commands. So first what we will do is we'll create VLAN. So I'll type VLAN 10 and hit enter. And then we are going to type the name. So name will be sales. Enter. Okay, so first two commands I've typed VLAN 10 and name sales. Next step is you have to choose the interface. So I'll type interface fast Ethernet 0/2. We'll choose 2 and hit enter. Now we are inside the interface. So now you have to configure it as access first. So switch port mode access. Now after switch port mode access, the last step is you have to assign the VLAN. So we'll type switch port access VLAN and the number 10. That's it. Yes, and I'll give exit. I'll come out of the interface. Now I'm in the configuration terminal again, right? Now we'll create the next VLAN. So I'll type VLAN 20 and then name is going to be HR. All right. And then we'll choose interface fast Ethernet 0/3. Enter. And we'll configure it as switch port mode access. And then we'll assign the VLAN switch port access VLAN and 20. Hit enter. Exit. That's it. So now what we have done is in this switch, we have two ports, that is 0/2 and 0/3. For 0/2, we have assigned sales and 0/3, we have assigned HR. Now I'll take two computers. One computer for sales and one for HR. So we choose the cable and we'll connect it. First computer, I'll connect to 0/2 and second computer, I'll connect to 0/3. And I'll open the first computer and I'll give IP for this computer 192.168.1.10 subnet mask, close. And we'll open the second computer. I'll go to desktop, IP configuration. I'll type 192.168.1.11 subnet mask. Now VLAN is done. Yes, VLAN is done. And we have two computers from two different departments, sales and HR. Now everything turned green, which means the connection all has established, right? Now from first computer, I'll go to command prompt and I'll type ping 192.168.1.11 and the output which we get is request timed out. Okay, so this is the output. Although both the computers have IP, although both the computers have subnet mask, they still don't ping with each other because of VLAN. Okay, now this is one type. And another one thing which you will do for today's to do, your day 4 to do. Yes, you're going to take 2 switches. You'll take 2 switches, and let's say you have 4 computers. All right, now this computer belongs to sales. This belongs to HR. Again, this belongs to HR and this belongs to sales. Okay. Now, you will connect these 2 switches. This part alone, I will tell you how to do. This center part alone, I'll give you a hint. Okay. Now, the output has to be something like this. This sales and this sales can ping. When you ping from this sales to this sales, it has to ping. From this HR to this HR, if you ping, it has to ping. Mix match, it shouldn't ping. So from here sales to HR, it shouldn't ping. From this sales to this HR, it shouldn't ping. But sales and sales has to ping. HR and HR has to ping. This is going to be your output. Now individually in each switch, you know what to do. That is the first thing which we already saw. How to create VLAN and all that. Keep in mind, when you create a VLAN here for sales and give a number 10, here also you have to give the same number. When you give 20 here, here also you have to give the same number. Okay. And this part, now this is going to be 0/24 and this is going to be 0/1, obviously. All right. So here you have to do certain configurations so that, you know, from sales to sales, it gets pinged, and from HR to HR, it gets pinged. So that alone, I'll tell you how to do. Now, in switch A, obviously, you've used the last interface, that is 0/24, right? So what we'll do is go to config terminal mode, and then you will choose interface fast Ethernet 0/24. You will choose this, and first you will set it as trunk, switch port mode trunk. And then you have to tell this interface 0/24, see, we have certain VLANs in our switch and there are certain VLANs in the neighbor switch. So whatever VLAN I am asking you to allow, you allow the connection. So you're going to tell this to switch. So how you're going to say? You're going to say something like the switch port trunk allowed VLAN, and after this, here you can either type the specific numbers. If you type 10 here, only sales will communicate, HR will not communicate. If you type 20 here, only HR will communicate, sales will not communicate. If you type all, then all the VLANs will communicate from switch A to switch B. This is the configuration which you will do in 0/24. And you will do the same in 0/1 also. Repeat in switch B 0/1. So in both these ports, you have to do that configuration. So once done, you will ping from sales to sales. When you ping, you have to get reply. From HR to HR, when you ping, you have to get reply. From sales to HR or HR to sales, when you ping, you shouldn't get reply. You should get request timed out. Okay. So this is your day 4 to do 1. So you have another to do also. So we'll keep this as to do 1. Day 4 to do 1. All right. Yes. Now this is with VLAN. And next comes port security. But before starting, let me share the attendance sheet. Attendance. Guys, I've shared the attendance sheet. Please fill in your attendance for today and then come back for class. Okay. Now, answer this question. So we have configured VLAN, right? For this computer, it is sales, and this computer, it is HR. All right. And the configuration is done in switch. Now tell me, what disadvantage do you find in this setup? What disadvantage do you find in this setup? What probably can be a disadvantage? Only? You can connect as many you want. You can create VLAN for other interfaces also. You can create VLAN for 0/4 and you can bring another computer. That won't be a problem. You can create as many you want. Apart from that, that is the work of network admin. That is why people hire network admin, because all these devices need assistance. No, so you have to sit and configure. So no other work. So you can't call that as a disadvantage. Okay. See, now this particular computer, PC 0/6, yes. So when this computer connects with interface 0/2, it goes into the sales VLAN, right? It gets into the sales department. Now let me bring another computer, another third computer, okay? Imagine this computer is an attacker's computer, someone else who doesn't belong to your organization. Now, if I connect this computer to 0/2 interfacing switch, will it connect or not? Will they get connected to the sales department or not? In this case, yes, they will. If you take another computer and connect to 0/2, they will still connect. The connection will establish. When the connection establishes, what will happen? This particular PC can access everything from sales department. Yes. Now this concept is called port misuse or port misconfiguration. Right? It is like the port is open for anybody to connect. So anyone can connect to the port and anyone can access the details of sales department. So this is called port misconfiguration. So disadvantage or demerit is port misuse or misconfiguration. Okay, now to overcome this, what we are going to do is to the switch, to the interface which you are configuring VLAN and all other stuffs, right? So what we'll say is to this particular port, we'll say, see, 0/2, you will be connecting only with one particular computer. Okay. What you do is when one computer connects, collect the MAC address of this computer and store it. Okay. And allow only this particular computer with this specific MAC address to connect with you. If a different computer, now let's say the MAC address of this computer is ABC. So what this interface will do is it will store the MAC address ABC inside. The switch will store the MAC address ABC. Now, if another computer with a different MAC address, let's say DEF, tries to connect this particular interface, the connection will not establish. So in switch level, you're doing a security measure so that a different computer with a different MAC address won't be able to connect. This concept is called port security because you're doing it in the port. That is why it is called port security. Okay, so you are informing this port that only a MAC address with ABC can connect to you, and a MAC address with DEF or any other MAC address, if they try to connect, you're going to not establish the connection. So to not establish the connection, there are many options which we'll again see. So we are going to set a rule in port security. So the rule is going to be interface fast Ethernet 0/2 can be connected to only one computer with a specific MAC address, let's say X. Okay. Now, if someone violates this rule, if a different computer with a different MAC, let's say Y, tries to connect interface past Ethernet 0/2, you can do either of the two options. Okay. The switch will either, number one, shut down, or number two, restrict. So it can do any of these two things, not the switch, the port. When a different computer tries to connect that particular port, what the port will do is the port will automatically shut down. Shut down meaning is it will go inactive. It is like turning the switch off. Okay. It's like turning the switch off. One option is shut down. And the other option is restrict. Now what happens in restrict? In restrict, the port is going to be on. The port will be active. It will be live. But it will not allow you to do anything inside. You can't establish any connection. You can't access anything inside that particular department. So you will stay connected. But if you go try doing something, if you try pinging another sales computer, it will not allow. Yes, this is port security. So port security, first what we will do is we'll take a switch. And we'll choose 0/2. Now for the 0/2, let's write the port security commands. Okay, so you'll open switch. You will log into switch and you will go to configuration terminal mode. Once you're in the configuration terminal mode, the first step that you will do is you will choose the interface. Choosing the interface. So the command goes something like this: interface past Ethernet 0/2. Once you've chosen the interface, you will configure the port. So this we are going to connect computer. So we'll configure it as switch port, mode, access. Okay. And third step, being inside the interface, you're going to enable port security. So how do you enable port security? You'll type switch port -security. Now, when you type this command, port security will be enabled for interface 0/2, not to any other port, because we are inside that particular interface only. So we are doing it only for one interface as of now. Switch port security. And fourth step, you are going to tell that particular port how many computers will connect to the max, right? So maximum computers allowed. So we'll type switch port-security, maximum will be only 1. So we are saying 0/2 can have only one computer connected, not more than one computer. And then we are going to assign the MAC address. So for that, you will type switch port-security, MAC-address. Now here, what you can do here is, you can take a computer, you can go inside the computer, go to settings, find the MAC address, copy and paste it here. So you can type the MAC address. Or another option, instead of typing the MAC address, you can just type sticky. Now what is sticky? Sticky is a command which will automatically collect the MAC address from the computer that you connect. So the first computer you connect to this particular interface, sticky command will take that MAC address and it will assign automatically. It will store automatically. You don't have to go search for MAC address and paste it here, because MAC address, again, it is a combination of letters and numbers. So you'll obviously make mistakes. So go with the sticky command. Yes. And the sixth step is you will set violation. Now, what happens if your rule is violated? You'll type switch port-security violation. And here you can type either of the two violations. You will either type shutdown or restrict. First, we'll go with shutdown. Okay, so I've typed shutdown. That's it. Now, this is the configuration which you will do in switch. Once you have done, what you will do is you will go take a computer, and you will connect this computer to this port, and you will assign IP to this computer. 192.168.1.10. And for verification purpose, you take another computer also. You don't have to do port security. Just connect this computer and assign an IP to it. Don't bother about doing port security for this, just for verification purpose, right? Now, after you assign IP to this computer, what will happen is this particular port will collect the MAC address of your computer and it will store it. So now your MAC address is collected, it is stored inside the switch. Now, how do you verify? You take another computer, a third different computer, okay? You'll take this cable from here, you will disconnect from this computer and you'll connect it here. Okay, you will connect it here. And after you connect it, just assign a random IP, something like 192.168.1.12. Assign a random IP. Okay. After you assign a random IP from this computer, you try pinging 1.11. Just try pinging 1.11. What will happen here is you will see a red color light. This red color light denotes that the port is off. Inactive. The port is shut down. Why it got shut down? Because you have connected a different computer with a different MAC address. And once it got connected, the port went shut down. So now it can't access anything. Okay. So this is with shutdown. Now with restrict, you can do the same steps. And instead of shutdown, here you can give restrict. Instead of shutdown, you will give restrict. Now, what is the difference between shutdown and restrict? When you, again, 0/2, you have connected a computer with 1.10. Now, you bring in another different computer. You take the same cable and you connect it, you assign IP. Here, what you will find green color light. The light will still be green. But if you try to ping from 1.11 to another computer here, you won't be able to ping. You will not have access. And the port will be on, but it will not give you any access is the name. So for shutdown, the output will be red. And for restrict, the output will be in green. This is going to be your to-do 2 for day 4. Okay, you're going to achieve this output. Shutdown, now I will show it to you. I'll show you in Packet Tracer how it has to be done. And you will try for restrict. To do 2, you will do it for the restrict command. So you will have 2 screenshots to upload today in today's tutorial. Okay. Let's go to Packet Tracer. We'll take a switch. We'll take a switch first. And what we'll do is we'll do all the configurations, right? I'll open the switch. Go to CLI. Let's get started. So I'll type enable first. So where are the commands? The commands are here. Okay, so enable and then we'll go for conf t so that you enter into the configuration. Now that we are into the configuration mode, we'll do from step 1. So step 1, you have to choose the interface. So we choose interface, fast Ethernet 0/2. And then you will configure it as switch port mode access. Okay, switch port mode access. And after that, we'll enable port security. To enable port security, we'll type switch port. What is it? Port-security. Now port security is enabled. After port security is enabled, you're going to set maximum computer as 1. 1 is set. And then you're going to assign the MAC address. So we'll type MAC-address and I'll type sticky. Yes, and we'll set the violation. So port-security violation will be shut down. That's it. Okay, now we have done port security for 0/2. Now what we'll do is we'll take 2 computers first. This and this. And first computer, I'll connect it to 0/2 for which we have done port security. Okay. And the next computer, I'll connect it for a random port. 0/some port. And we'll assign IP for this computer. I'll assign 192.168.1.10, subnet mask, close, and the next computer will assign IP 192.168.1.11, subnet mask, and close. Now what will happen is switch will collect the MAC address of this computer and it is stored. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a third computer here. Third computer. I'm going to disconnect from this computer. Okay, before that, let's ping so that some connection establishes. So from first computer, I'll ping the second computer. Ping 192.168.1.11. Enter, you're getting reply. Okay, so now this is a working LAN. Right? Now I'll disconnect this particular cable and I will connect it to this computer. After I connect it to this computer, we'll open this computer and assign an IP for this, a random IP, 192.168.1.15, let's say. Okay, so now we have assigned an IP. Now, from this computer, when we try pinging this computer, let's see what happens. I'll open this computer, go to command prompt, I'll ping 192.168.1. What's the other IP? 11. Okay, 11, and hit enter. See what happened? The port turned red. The color turned red, which means the port has shut down. Okay, in case of restrict, it will still be green, but you will get output as request timed out. Here you will get request timed out, but the port color will be in green only. Got it? Yes. So you will try for restrict. Shutdown is done here. Yes, so your to-do, day 4 assignment. First assignment will be VLAN with 2 switches, and second assignment will be port security with restrict command. Yes, this will be your to-do for today, right? And that's it with today's class. If you have any doubts, you can ask. And let me share the attendance form again for people who have come new. Please fill in your attendance form and you can leave.